Hello, everybody. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm coming to you with some gaming news. This isn't exactly breaking news, it's actually a couple of days old, but I did want to talk to you about it because I'm sure many of you don't subscribe to newsletters from Slitherine or aren't, following Twitter feeds or whatever about different gaming threads, and maybe you're just on YouTube and you're not aware of it. But there was some big news which came out on the 26th, so I think that was Tuesday, that basically Battlefront, the developers behind the Combat Mission franchise, have been acquired by Slitherine. So the Slitherine Matrix, sort of the wargaming publisher out there, has acquired Battlefront, which used to be a publisher in their own right, and also developed the Combat Mission games, have been acquired. Now, when I saw the news, honestly, I was kind of a little bit like, oh, okay, so that means Combat Mission is done. Like, my first impression, and I said this on a couple of Discords, was like, all right, does this mean they're just putting Combat Mission out to pasture, right? There's like 4 or 5 folks who work for Battlefront, who have been doing this since 2000. The first Combat Mission game, Combat Mission Beyond Overlord, came out in 2000, so 24 years ago. And then they've released a series of games since then, but it's kind of, frankly, the series has kind of grown a little bit stale. The first 3 games, the first 2 in particular, Beyond Overlord and then Barbarossa to Berlin, were huge hits within the genre. Beyond Overlord released a special edition that was even on retail stores. Like, I remember seeing it in Best Buys. Like, this was a big war game. I don't know that it ever reached quite the heights of Sid Meier's Gettysburg, but it was kind of up there. And actually, Beyond Overlord originally started out as kind of an online distribution model, which was very rare for the time. Sid Meier's Antietam had tried to do that as a sequel to Gettysburg and relatively-ish failed at doing that, and that's kind of a big reason why we never saw Sid Meier's Waterloo, which he wanted to make Sid Meier's Waterloo, and their publisher was kind of like, hey, let's not do that, and they moved on to do Alpha Centauri instead. But Antietam kind of failed, and then within like a year, Beyond Overlord came out, Combat Mission Beyond Overlord, and it was a hit. Like, they sold hundreds of thousands of copies of a grognardy tactical war game, largely distributed through the web. Again, they eventually ended up on store shelves later. And so, like, this series was big. In 2007, I think it was, they upgraded the game. So the first game had sort of an older engine. 2007, I think it was, when Shock Force came out, they released the Combat Mission 2 engine, or the CMX2 engine. And all the games since then have been on that engine. And frankly, they look and feel like it. They do feel like it's a decade-plus engine. Old UI scaling's kind of messed up. You go into the settings and you look like resolution settings, and also you can tell that the game's bones are old. So I assumed when this game was announced that Slitherine was acquiring it, it was basically like, all right, we know the brand has value. We know that there are folks out there who still love and play these games. They've been releasing them on Steam through Slitherine since they started publishing through Slitherine not that long ago. And it kind of felt like, all right, so this is just their way of saying goodbye, right? The founders have decided to hang it up. They're going to move on, and Slitherine is going to offer the back catalog, and that's that. I guess I'm wrong. I dug into it a bit more. I got into a discussion on the 3MA Discord with some folks over there, and I guess I'm wrong. Slitherine has posted some stuff that basically indicates everybody who was with Battlefront has moved on and are now employees of Slitherine through the... Yeah, so anyway, all the folks there are sticking around, which isn't unusual in an acquisition like this. Sometimes you leave the old team in place for a while. But what stuck out was in the announcement, Slitherine said they have brought on 5 Unity developers, I believe it was. So that's a big deal, right? Like, Slitherine is a small-ish publisher. They have a lot of games, but they're not like they don't have like 1,000 developers, or they don't even have 100 developers, I doubt. So for them to bring in 5 developers who are experts in Unity, so obviously that's a different engine than the CXM2 engine, or CMX2 engine. The old game engine, I'm assuming, is a proprietary engine that they largely developed or iterated on by themselves. Unity is not that, right? Unity is kind of a big a big conglomerate type organization and game engine. But for them to bring in 5 developers who are experts in Unity tells me that they are, it sounds like they're working on, and they said they're working on CMX3. So they're going to be developing a new version of the combat mission game, presumably based off Unity. And I assume that means there are more games to come. Now, that may mean many years from now, right? Games take years to make. That doesn't mean we're going to see anything. We're certainly not going to see anything this year, probably not next year, but maybe in 2027, 2028, maybe we'll get Combat Mission Engine 3 with whatever game that comes out with. They also have said they're going to continue releasing content. I don't know if that means new engines, new models. I'm not sure. Or not engines, but like new games or whatever. I don't know if that means they're releasing new stuff in CM2, but I guess we'll see. They are going to support all of the CM2 games, which is basically Shock Force, and then all of the, the following World War II iterations, and then Black Sea, and which was sort of a hypothetical. This was hypothetical, and this all occurred before 2014, but hypothetical World War III between NATO and Russia and Ukraine. That's what Black Sea is about. Or their newest game, which was a Cold War game, which came out not that long ago, based, again, on the CM2 engine. So it sounds like they're going to continue supporting those games. The CM1 engines, the classics in the genre, which are probably the ones that most people are aware of, are not going to be supported. Those are sort of end of life. But yeah, it sounds like Slitherine's taking it over. Hopefully that means they're going to be making a quality product down the line. I'll be honest, guys, I have a little bit of skepticism. I hope to be proved wrong. I play a lot of Slitherine games on here. I would love for myself to be wrong. I think I felt a little burned with the re-release of Command and Conquer, not Command and Conquer. Oh my God, it was Close Combat. They did a remake of Close Combat. They've done a bunch of Close Combat stuff through Slitherine, and most of it's been really good. Like they had one that focused on Market Garden, which was kind of like a remake of Close Combat 2. They had Gateway to Khan, was an excellent game, largely based off the original Close Combat engine. But then they tried to we're bringing Close Combat into the modern era, and they released a the Big Red 1 game. That was very bad. It was very disappointing. It was very bad. I played it a little bit on the channel. I did not enjoy it. It was disappointing. Hopefully they've learned from that, and the future games of the Combat Mission series fare better. If they keep the original crew around, I have some hope, but we'll see. Part of me wonders also, they've been working, I believe there's a pro version of Combat Mission as well. So they do some government work, like with Command Modern Air Naval Operations or Command Modern Operations. They have a bunch of contracts with the militaries of multiple different militaries out there who they work with on that simulation game. And I believe one of the reasons, this was my take, this is just my impression, we did an interview for the podcast, for the Single Malt Strategy podcast of some of the folk, or actually one of the folks, I think it was Stephen Gramont, from the Combat Mission series. And we talked to him after they had announced that they were being published by Slitherine, that they were going to start having their catalog published by Slitherine. And the impression, and he didn't tell me this outright, but the impression I got from some of his answers was like, all right, certainly to me it sounded like they were interested in the fact that Slitherine had partnerships with various militaries for a professional version, and they had looked at and had done some professional work with Combat Mission in the past. But obviously if you go to a publisher who has those connections, who has those contacts, makes it a lot easier to go through the process of offering a pro version. So maybe that's the impetus of this. Maybe Slitherine, says, hey, if we do a CM3 version of this game and we offer it to militaries, it'll be enticing for them. And hey, there's commercial applications to this too for players. So, that would be great if that's the impetus, because then that would assume there's some actual possible seed money behind it. But who knows? This is literally all speculation. I don't know. The only thing we know, Slitherine's acquiring Battlefront. They're hiring Unity developers to work on a new engine for Battlefront, and they are, or for Combat Mission, and they're going to continue supporting Combat Mission 2 titles and perhaps releasing more content for those titles. Took a long time for me to say 10 minutes, and those are the takeaways. That's what we know right now. There's a link in the description if you want the more details around, like, if you have Battlefront titles, if you have titles through Battlefront that are not through Slitherine, like what happens to your game copy. So there's information they've provided to existing Battlefront customers who maybe didn't buy it through Slitherine. I'll link that in the description here. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Where do you think this is going? What do you think's happening here? Are you excited about this? I guess news is better than no news, right? Like, I had assumed the series was dead. It seemed like things were languishing a bit. They had released some content, like they were still doing stuff, but it never really felt like they were going to upgrade it to the point where you'd be like, let's be honest, guys. Combat Mission has shunted firmly into the niche grognard title, and I would bet there are a lot of you out there who don't even know about this series, or who have seen this series and you're like, I'll go for Graviteam. I'll go for something that's a little bit more modern. Funny saying that about Graviteam, given how bad their UI is. But still, like, that's, I think, the impression a lot of folks get when they see these games. They were mainstream with the first 2 titles. Ever since Beyond Overlord, they have shifted further and further kind of into the hardcore, only real ones, and I'm using quotes here, know about them. And so they've gone well away from the mainstream that they were in before. I don't know that Slytherine's going to ever bring them back into the mainstream. Maybe that's good, but it'd be great to see this series get some TLC, right? Like, it'd be great to see them get some investment. Be great to see them fix some of that technical debt that's a decade old and get some of these things worked on and bring this game into the 2020s or maybe 2030s. Who knows how long it'll take to come out, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'm moderately excited. Like, I don't know what to expect from the quality that'll come out. Like, who knows? Anytime you're doing a series like this, it's hard to chart the right course. But I guess it's better than them just drifting into nothingness and dying, or just being acquired and then the back catalog sits there and no one does anything with it. So I guess that's good. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Just a short-ish update. Enough of me rambling now. I'm going to sign off here. I will say, just sort of an FYI, we'll be having some more Arms Trade Tycoon content tomorrow. I might stream that tonight. We'll see. And then Monday, I believe Labor Day, we will have the next Single Malt Strategy podcast go live, which is going to be discussing tower defense games. So maybe I'll do a tower defense stream at some point this weekend for Labor Day weekend for those of you in the States. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.